Oh my, do I have breaking news for you today, and it has nothing to do and is way better than that lie-filled State of the Union address last night. Why? Because it has to do with our Supreme Court. You know, that former bastion of integrity and trust that most of us grew up our whole lives, never having to wonder nor think about what they might do, not necessarily in terms of whether we agree, but just whether or not we could trust them. And in this breaking story, I'm going to show you that in a few seconds. A major ruling just came down by SCOTUS, and it is unbelievably shocking. But some of the issues we deal with the Supreme Court still haven't gone away. Take a look at this real quick, and I'll show you the breaking story.
This past week, the Supreme Court handed down a series of major opinions on the powers of federal agencies, on homeless encampments, and on the January 6th storming of the Capitol. But when it comes to the Supreme Court, Americans have some major opinions of their own.
Do we have a problem with the Supreme Court? Yes. Can it be fixed? Yes. In full? I'm not sure, but I can take you through what the law is, what the policies are, but most importantly, what the problems are. And here's my take. The number one problem can absolutely be fixed. It's not about having the ability, it's about whether or not we have the will.
The general public is losing confidence in the Supreme Court, and really confidence in the Supreme Court is the main tool it has to enforce its authority.
The gifts and the money erodes the credibility of this institution.
It's true. Our trust in the Supreme Court has never been lower. Most Americans disagreed with the court's decisions on abortion and unlimited campaign donations, and then we got headlines like these.
The most complete accounting yet of the high life of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas shows much, much more than previously known.
According to investigations from ProPublica, the New York Times, and others, Justice Clarence Thomas has accepted over $4 million worth of gifts from conservative billionaires. And then there was Justice Samuel Alito's private jet flight to a $1,000 a night Alaskan fishing lodge, courtesy of conservative hedge fund owner Paul Singer. Now, it is legal for justices to receive gifts of meals and lodging, provided they publicly disclose the gifts on this form. But Alito and Thomas did not disclose the gifts, at least until they were made public. Both justices deny any wrongdoing.
Fixing the Supreme Court, the integrity of the Supreme Court. Well, the ruling last night that just came down was based on Trump continuing to try and consolidate the branches of power from legislative and judicial all into executive. And this is the breaking story. Whew! Take a listen.
Supreme Court rejects Trump's request to keep billions in foreign aid frozen. A divided Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected the Trump administration's request to keep billions of dollars in foreign aid approved by Congress frozen. However, the court did not immediately say when the money must be released, allowing the White House to continue to dispute the issue in lower courts. The ruling was 5-4. The appeal raced to the High Court within days, exceedingly fast by the federal judiciary's standards. It is the second case to reach the justices dealing with Trump's moves to consolidate power within the executive branch and dramatically reshape the government after taking power in January. At the center of the case is billions in foreign aid from the State Department and the U.S. Agency for International Development that Trump froze in January as he sought to clamp down spending and bring those agencies in line with his agenda. Several nonprofit groups that rely on the funding for global health and other programs sued, asserting that the administration's moves usurped the power of Congress to control government spending and violated a federal law that dictates how agencies make decisions. In a brief on Friday, the groups described the administration's actions as having a devastating impact. They told the court that the funding advances U.S. interests abroad and improves, and, in many cases, literally saves the lives of millions of people across the globe. In doing so, it helps stop problems like disease and instability overseas before they reach our shores, the group said, U.S. District Judge Amir Ali on February 13th ordered that much of the money continue to flow on a temporary basis while he reviewed the case. Days later, the plaintiffs argued that the administration was defying that order and continuing to block the spending, and Ali then ordered the Trump administration to spend the money at issue by midnight Wednesday. Ali was named to the bench by President Joe Biden. The Trump administration rushed an emergency appeal to the Supreme Court hours before that deadline, urging the court to at least pause it for a few days. The administration is making substantial efforts to review payment requests and spend the money, the government egged, but it couldn't turn the spigot on fast enough to meet the Ali's timeline. The groups that sued have balked at that explanation, arguing that a small number of political appointees within the administration are refusing to authorize essentially any payments. The government has not taken any meaningful steps to come into compliance, the group said a Supreme Court filing earlier Friday. Roberts, acting alone, gave the administration a brief reprieve on Wednesday, issuing what's known as an administrative stay that pushed pause on the case so that both sides could submit written arguments. The Chief Justice handles emergency cases rising from the Federal Appeals Court in Washington, D.C. Among the groups challenging the freeze are the AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition, a New York-based organization working to speed HIV prevention, and the Global Health Council, based in Washington, D.C., which represents other groups that administer health programs. The Trump administration revealed in court filings in the case that it is attempting to terminate more than 90% of the USAID foreign aid awards. In total, nearly 5,800 USAID awards were terminated, and more than 500 USAID awards were retained, a filing from the administration said. The total ceiling value of the retained awards is approximately $57 billion, the filing said. In addition to the USAID award terminations, approximately 4,100 state awards were terminated, and approximately 2,700 state awards were retained, the government told a lower court, referring to the State Department. Aid programs around the world have ground to a halt due to the sweeping funding freeze and review of billions of dollars of assistance. It also comes as the Trump administration has either placed the majority of USAID's workforce on leave or terminated them.
And even despite that ruling, right there, even despite SCOTUS saying, oh, no, you can't freeze it. You wait and see. You wait and watch. I would almost guarantee you that they will still delay in actually letting that money go because Trump doesn't like to lose because I expect to get everything. And they will push and push every single day to force that to not be the case. They don't want to have to acquiesce to the fact that the Congress holds the power of the purse. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But you wait and see. He won't let up. He won't accept this ruling. I cannot wait to see whether or not this is going to stand, because if it doesn't, it is a massive crack in the road on the journey to fascism. You guys hang in there, stay positive, enjoy your lives, talk to those you agree and disagree with. Stay frosty, man.